You are listening to Alchemizing Judgment, a guide back to love. Written by Abigail Gazda. Narrated by Abigail Gazda. Chapter 5. Projection. If you think about a projector machine, you understand that it shines an image from the inside of it onto something outside of it. You do this with your mind all day, every day. The image in your mind forms the visions you see in the world. If you believe all men are pigs in your mind, you will see this image projected into your reality. If you believe that everyone is out for your money, you will see freeloaders everywhere. If you believe that people are helpless, entitled, and selfish, you will attract exactly those kinds of people and feel constantly taken advantage of and exhausted by it. If you tell yourself that you are unlovable, the world will show you all sorts of reasons why, and you will collect evidence to reinforce that belief. You project your beliefs constantly. And do you know where your beliefs come from? Your past. You are never looking at this world for what it is. You are looking at this world for how you see it, or have seen it. You are projecting your past into your future, and it's all you can see in your present. This can be confusing when others don't see the world the way you do. How can she land a man and I can't? How did he make it to the top so easily? Of course he's rich. He's got more going for him. We judge and justify all day long without taking responsibility for the beliefs that we are projecting from within. We don't know the stories of how she bagged the man, he got the job, or made all the money. We don't know the struggle they endured or the strength required to have arrived where they did. We are just projecting our single experience of the world onto others as if our version of the world is the version of the world. This is separation in action. We stay in our singular perspectives without considering alternative options or possibility and stay stagnant in judgment. Since I assume you would rather not live this way, I am going to start discussing projection so you can choose alternative ways of being. Let's start by recalling that this universe is a giant mirrored room. What you put out, you get back. Said my favorite way, as within, so without. As above, so below. This is a subtle yet obvious gauge for how someone is doing internally. The state of someone's car, bedroom, office, relationships, health, and finances are often a direct reflection of their internal state. Even those who are making great progress in their life can then catch themselves experiencing breakdowns if their physical environment is getting out of whack, or as I will explain it in this first pillar, out of integrity. Messy room, messy mind. Aching body, struggling soul. Broken relationships, broken heart. This can vary on the scale of severity, but to stay aware of this knowledge will help you keep yourself in check along the path of transformation. We all need to stay actively involved in our state of affairs to experience being at choice about our life. When we loosen up on this, things unravel and we can't quite figure out why we feel out of whack again. Everything in your life is a projection of what is going on within you. If you can see this and accept it, you can start cleaning up your head and heart space, and your life will follow suit. Many people convince themselves it occurs the other way around, and this lie keeps them in patterns of starting diets, half-reading personal development books, paying for gym memberships they don't use, and buying quick fix gadgets off infomercials. Many think that if they could finally lose the weight, then they would be happy. The problem with that idea is that the weight is a reflection of worthlessness, self-hate, undeservedness, and more. Others convince themselves that having money will help them feel successful. I love money as much as the next gal, and I am here to tell you that money vibrates at a high frequency. Raise your frequency, raise the balance in your bank account. It is hard to make more money when you are wallowing in self-pity. It is time to start accepting that outer work doesn't fix the inner work. Inner work causes the outer manifestation. As that cycle repeats, it creates an upward spiral that results in a more natural inspiration to live a great life. I love when all of a sudden my clients can't stand the mess they are living in and start purging, cleaning, and rearranging. After a few weeks of working together, they practically snap out of a daze and start seeing the mess around them. This leads to what I call an integrity rampage, which I will explain later in this book. In short, the integrity rampage happens after folks begin cleaning up their head and heart space. They no longer have certain images running in their minds. Therefore, they are no longer projecting that image in their life. Like a fog lifts on a dewy morning, things come into plain view and look different than ever before. Suddenly, the dishes need to be washed and the laundry put away. The car must be vacuumed, the tank full, and the cup holders cleaned. The integrity rampage can happen serendipitously, too. People lose a job they never liked but wouldn't quit. Significant others break up with us before we manage to break up with them. The doctor tells you have 3 months to live. When we begin transformation, things are miraculously moved out of our way to clear our path. Without the awareness that some integrity and realignment is forced upon us serendipitously, we can become too distracted by the losses and see them as failures, punishments, or signs to stop. We miss seeing that these are our own projections of our deepest subconscious desires manifesting to shift us. We don't realize we are being redirected by a higher power that also has a higher perspective than we do. When the universe clears your path, trust it. See the invitation to move forward for what it is and take the next step towards improving your future. This is important to understand as we dive deeper into understanding projection because we are going to make this personal now. In terms of separation, we try to make the problems in our life about others. We point, blame, and shame. We make endless excuses about why things are the way they are and why we can't catch a break. The next chapter is about accountability and responsibility. But before we go there, we must see exactly what there is to take responsibility for. A few hard truths about judgment. A judgment of another is a judgment of yourself. If you can spot it in someone, you have it too. What you judge in others is something you cannot see, refuse to accept, or fear about yourself. You judge what you are afraid of or don't understand. You judge that which you wish you had the courage to be, do, or have. It is one of my favorite exercises to listen to someone rag on another, and when they are all done, I hold up a mirror to them and ask them to repeat everything they said. Almost immediately, the tears start streaming. When we swap they for I, it becomes obvious why that person would be showing up in our lives and challenging us the way they are. Almost immediately, a person can see in themselves what they are judging in that other person. This is where the real transformation occurs. It is not in judgment, but rather in the opportunity to see a part of us that has gone unseen. It is a direct invitation to transmute hate and rejection into clarity, understanding, love, and acceptance. People come into our lives to reflect us so that we may see ourselves. You may not be ready to be honest with yourself about that, and that is okay. It doesn't change the mechanics of this equation. Whenever you become ready, write down all your judgments of someone and sit in front of a mirror to read them aloud. In order to make a true and lasting shift, you must be able to identify that judgment within you, even if that part of you is just the size of a grain of sand. You know who calls people narcissists? You know who calls people selfish? You know who calls people lazy? You guessed it, lazy, selfish, narcissists. Now, before you go and toss this book out the window, take a deep breath and open your heart. People come into your life to reflect these things so that you can handle them. We are given people to empower our decision to not be that way and to have that impact on others. We get the gift of these challenges in our lives so that we can tend to the judgment tree and trim some branches. Growing up as a human, we all have so many of these dark characteristics. It is in our intentional choice to live consciously so that we are afforded the opportunity to transcend these ways of being. It is possible. Just don't throw this book out before you get to the good part. I once had a client who understood this reflection concept so well. She would message me a complaint about her husband, knowing that I would simply ask her how she is embodying the traits that she is complaining about. She got so good at this that she would humbly reply, got it, thanks, and go back about her day. This doesn't need to be a moral debacle. It is as simple as awareness and acceptance. To accept your judgments and behaviors is to also take your power back from them. Acceptance is a process of alchemizing judgment. Speaking of complaining about others, do you want to know who annoys me? Loud, obnoxious attention seekers. Crazy, right? Because I have none of those traits. When we are annoyed by aspects of someone, we must look for them in ourselves. Sometimes we are not aware of our ways until we see them in others. They can be easily identified by that ew feeling. When someone seems repulsive, they are reflecting a part of ourselves that we feel repulsed by. Usually, this is a part of us that we try to cover up with makeup, money, achievements, attention, and more. As long as we reject the parts of us we don't like, our projector machine will flash them all over our lives. It is not a curse, but an invitation to see our whole selves. It is truly a gift to witness our totality. Accepting every part of ourselves is what helps us transform the projections of our minds. I will expound upon this topic more in the alignment pillar section. Before we can get into alignment, we must practice willingness to understand the things we don't understand. We judge situations that seem weird, different, wrong, bad, grotesque, and perverted because we want to keep those feelings at a comfortable distance from us. We do not want to associate with certain things, and let me tell you, my friend, what you resist persists. This book is about alchemizing judgment, not getting rid of it. You cannot rid it. You cannot rid the world of people you don't like. You cannot rid the earth of bugs. You cannot rid the sky of clouds. You must alchemize your feeling about those things lest they steal all of your power, joy, and choice. For each of us, the objects that our judgment is focused on will vary. Judgment is subjective. Therefore, we must recognize that judgment is not right, wrong, good, or bad. It is relative. The way we don't like rainy days is relative to thinking clouds and rain equate bad or sad. The way I don't like spiders in my house is relative to believing they belong outside. These statements are not necessarily true or false. They are relative. Judgments are natural. They are associations. To transcend your associations means you recognize they are specific to your worldview and that you make up rules, standards, boundaries, and expectations to match them. This does not make them true or relative to anyone else. Your beliefs are yours, and they are your responsibility. But if we simply project our prejudices based on our beliefs, we will be forced to look at them more closely. If you understand the law of attraction, to reject what you don't like or understand will draw it closer and closer to you until you become willing to examine it. The more you resist, the closer it will get. Do not tempt this theory, because it will get so close to you that it will literally enter your body as illness and disease. The law of attraction is not all sunshine and rainbows of what you think about, you bring about. It is the beliefs and images of your subconscious that get projected, not just your conscious mantras and desires. Your subconscious projects because that is the only way it can communicate with you. It speaks in manifestations, internally and externally. You must become willing to slow down and witness the manifestations to receive their communications. These projections will give you a chance to shift the deepest, darkest corners of your heart and mind. This will provide you an opportunity to shed light in dark spaces and transmute what lingers there. For example, harboring resentment for your upbringing will fester in your energetic body as hatred and anger. This may be directed at your parents, and it will also disproportionately come out in other relationships, at work, toward yourself, and your circumstances. Your anger will consume you and run your life. Your projection will be seen through a filter of anger. Like wearing a pair of red glasses, everything will be tinted with rage, and you will always be a hairline away from a full-blown meltdown. This might also manifest as headaches, stomach aches, cancer, intrusive thoughts, mental illness, bipolar disorders, substance abuse, sexual addictions, frivolous spending, and more. I am teaching you all of this not to condemn or diagnose you, but rather give you a choice in the matter. Not one single emotion is permanent. Even your past is not permanent the way you think it is. In the next chapter, I will teach you about reframing. This tactic will help you create a new relationship with your memories so that you may shift the emotions caused by them. This will transmute the memory's energy, allowing yourself a release from the clutches of your past. When you do this, your projections begin to shift as well. Instead of past projecting, you are giving yourself a clean, blank slate from which to imagine and create your future from a more authentic place. One of the last ways we judge others is through envy. We see others who understand these lessons already, have done the work of putting their past in the past, have cleared their head and heart, and are now creating a life they love. These people live freely, laugh loudly, and love intensely. We watch these folks dance, sing, play, travel, spend, and exist without limitations, and it drives us wild. We scoff and scowl at their freedom and fortune. Sometimes we even convince ourselves that we couldn't care less. We pretend like we don't want what they seem to attain so easily. For me, I used to judge women harshly who wore revealing clothing. Meanwhile, I would also stare jealously at their beautiful bodies, wishing I had that confidence. I knew that if I felt that confident about my legs or belly, I would wear that too. I also knew that my inner dialogue wasn't my own. It was the voice I call Catholic guilt that critiqued these women for allowing their bodies to be seen. Before I started allowing myself to wear what I want, I remember the shame I experienced about feeling sexy and being in love with my body in my 20s. The voice of Catholic guilt kept me in line for a long time and also kept me feeling jealous of women who didn't seem to have that voice in their heads. They seemed to have freedom, and I was certainly jealous of that. I am sure we can all recall a time in which we have judged someone solely because they had the confidence, power, and poise that we wish we had for ourselves. We also judge people's relationships and possessions for this exact same reason. We covet our neighbor's goods because we wish we felt deserving enough to have those same blessings in our lives. We might also covet because we feel denied or at a loss for why we are not succeeding in ways we hoped or planned to. When it comes to judgment, if you didn't covet it, you wouldn't judge it. Of course, we are not always coveting. We can be genuinely happy for people's blessings without attachment. And it is also helpful to notice when you are not genuinely celebrating someone's wins and successes. If a sense of envy or longing gets activated within you in these moments, it is a great opportunity to better understand yourself. You don't judge your neighbor's front door wreath if you have no desire for a front door wreath, but you may judge the size of their house. You do not want your sister's hairbrush as much as you want the thriving relationship she has. You do not spend energy thinking about your boss's laptop as much as you do thinking about having their position or salary. Coveting someone else's something is a signal from your subconscious that it is time to do some inner work. It's a sign of something missing or incomplete within you, and you have the power to heal that with some intentional introspection. This is the work of recognizing and alchemizing judgment. This is transcending your humanness. Envy can fool us and keep us locked in place. If we spend more time judging others than evaluating our judgment, we will remain in that mindset and never have access to peace, contentment, or abundance. I want you to know that there is hope and light at the end of the judgment tunnel. This chapter is specifically committed to recognizing your judgments. Be sure to take a few deep breaths before moving on to the next chapter, where I will teach you how to take responsibility and accountability for these judgments. This can be heavy and intense because I am asking you to be more honest with yourself than normal. I am asking you to see parts of yourself that you have become good at stuffing and avoiding. Relax your face, neck, and shoulders as you take 3 really deep inhales that bring fresh air all the way into your body. Then push out that judgment on your exhales. I hope that you have discovered a lot in this chapter, and I acknowledge you for making it to this point. Soften your body as you begin to practice new levels of acceptance for the ways you have consciously and subconsciously judged. If you are really committed to this process, after your 3 deep breath cycles, announce out loud, "I forgive myself," 3 times in a row. And again, focus on relaxing your body. Great work, my friend. Let's keep going. Thank you for listening to this reading of Alchemizing Judgment. If you enjoyed this reading, please like this video and comment a review below. I also invite you to subscribe to my channel, Abigail Rose Gazda. To read and listen to more of my books, visit abigailgazda.com/books. Thanks for tuning in.